Why do men pull away when they're in love? Hello, I'm Jade Diamond. I'm your dating and love coach. This is a question I find is so interesting, and I love to talk about with my girls in my network. Why does he pull away when we've been getting on so well? We're just falling in love and he's acting different. He's pulling away. What do I do? So let me just move this light. I'm sorry, people. There, that's a bit better, isn't it? It's getting a bit dark here in London. So let's answer this in a couple of different ways. So there's two things. One is actually a chemical response that I want to talk to you about. This is something I wish somebody told me when I was like 16, 17 years old, and it could have, if we all knew this, men and women, it would help us so much to be able to communicate, because men and women are wired differently, from a hormonal level and from a social conditioning level. So let's talk about two different things. The first is his assessment. So when you are having an amazing experience with a guy and it feels like you're falling in love, the first thing to understand, actually, as a preface to all of this, is just because you feel like you're falling in love, it doesn't mean that he is. He could be having an amazing time with you, and you have amazing chemistry, and you can be planning trips together, but that doesn't mean that this guy is actually wanting a relationship. Maybe that's a whole conversation for another day, but that's the first thing that you really need to recognize, that just because you're having a wonderful time, it doesn't mean you're actually in a relationship, especially if you've not already discussed that together. And that just because you feel like you're falling in love, unless you're kind of really seeing those signs from him and like just spending time together, doesn't mean that it's a love relationship. You can still be spending great time together. But anyway, when a man is falling in love or feels like what was kind of an easy dating relationship is going towards a real relationship, a commitment, a guy will go through an assessment. And sometimes he will pull away a little to be in his own energy while he makes this assessment in his own head. Because while women, I know this is a generalization, but it's generally true, women are wonderful at multitasking, and we kind of are like ever ready for a relationship. Again, generalization. But when we're ready for a relationship, we don't need everything to be perfect. We don't need work to be perfect. We don't need to be at a certain point in our lives. Like, we don't need to have achieved certain things. We're just like, I feel like I would like a relationship. And that's that. The rest of life is the rest of it is. Whereas for a guy, often they're a bit more linear, and they're like, they start to make an assessment. First one is this what I actually want right now? Again, because you both could have been having an amazing time together over a number of months, but that doesn't mean that he's actually ready for the responsibility and the commitment of a relationship, of how to say it, like of answering to someone, of not just being able to feel like he can't just go, leave the country on a whim if he wants to feel like he can just be with any woman he wants to, as he wants to. He's going to make an assessment of, do I actually want that kind of relationship where I'm giving up my other options, where I'm just going to be exclusive with this woman, we're going to see how it goes. And he's going to want to think to himself, well, what is she the person that I want to be with? What kind of expectations does she have? Where is she at in her life? And what will she expect from me? If, you're a woman with some standards and this guy can't reach those standards, he will have an assessment about whether he wants to be in relationship with you, because he's not willing or he's not able to be the man that you need. And that's nobody's fault. And, better that he actually makes that assessment than we try and fit, make a square peg fit a round hole, so to speak. Probably should have made a bit of a better analogy there. But anyway, moving swiftly on. So he'll assess that, like, are you the right woman for him? And the other piece he's going to want to assess is like, is this the right time for me? Not just like, is it what I want, but is this the right time of my life to be in a relationship and with this person? Sometimes it can be at the right person at the wrong time. If that guy's like really focused on his career, or he wants to travel, or he's got some plans for his life that he doesn't know that you're going to want to go, you might want to go along with, whether he's got dreams of jumping out of aeroplanes every weekend, I don't know, who knows. But he's going to want to assess, like, is this the actual time of my life that I want to jump into a committed relationship? And sometimes it just isn't that time for him, and he knows that it's not that time in his life, and he's gonna want to just have connections with women where commitment isn't on the table, where he doesn't have to, write, is almost like, not physically, but like, write the contract of, right, that's it, we're together, and we need to spend time with each other every weekend. He might not be in a time in his life where he wants to do that, and you have to respect that. It's not wrong. It's not wrong if he doesn't want to. It's just not what you need. My clients come to me because they're ready for an amazing, committed, beautiful, evolving, romance with somebody. Now, the other piece I wanted to talk to you about, which is such a revelation when I found this out, was a man's hormonal system. So men have more usually testosterone than women, and women generally have more estrogen, and we have a bonding chemical, oxytocin. So this is also the chemical that women release when they're breastfeeding. It's when we have long hugs with people, we release oxytocin during sex, which is why we can feel very bonded, especially as women. We can feel very bonded to that person because a lot of oxytocin is released in the orgasmic state, right? It's very good for the body, and it's very good for the mind. And when a man has been in your presence and you're getting on really well, there's great sex together, or there's a great connection and you feel good, and there's lots of touch and lots of hugs and lots of time spent together, like couple time, what will happen is his oxytocin is going to start to raise. His oxytocin is going to start to go up. But the problem is his testosterone will start to drop. So in relation to his testosterone going up, sorry, I've said that wrong, and I'm live. In his oxytocin will go up. In relation to that, his testosterone will start to go down. And he's going to feel, after a while, after he's spending time with you a lot, he's going to want to need time by himself. He can't explain it. He doesn't know why. Probably no one's ever had this conversation to it. But I was like a grown, big ass woman before I ever found that out. And like, no man has ever told me that. Most people don't even know. We're complex, emotional, hormonal creatures. So as his testosterone is dropping, he's not feeling himself. He's not feeling 100%. And for a man needs to go and do whatever he needs to do to raise his testosterone again. And part of that is being by himself. Without being with the woman that he feels good with, but he suddenly will have a feeling like, I just want my own space. Just because he wants his testosterone to raise again. So whatever he does to make that happen, right? So in the soulmate solution, we talk a bit about this because we talk a lot deeper about male psychology and what to do at these particular times, because a lot of women get really upset that he needs a bit of space for himself and they don't allow it, and then he just pulls away even further and doesn't really want to come back. So the soulmate solution is one of my programs. So it's to be really aware of that. There's actually a chemical component going on. So if you can understand, some people call it rubber banding, which means, pull and then go back together, pull and then go back together. So when it's very intense and there are a lot of emotions and you really are falling in love and you're like, is this what I want? I'm scared, because all this fear comes up around loss and is it the right thing? And, all of that together can be why he pulls away and needs time by himself to think in his own energy without, the oxytocin, which is dropping his testosterone. And so he can actually think clearly and feel good in himself and about himself. So, some guys will kind of connect back to that testosterone just by sitting watching mindless television, watching sports. This is a big thing. So if they don't play sports, they're watching sports. I just think, why are you watching so much sport? How much sport can one person watch? And a lot of it's to do with that kind of, it's a very masculine energy thing of like competition and raising that testosterone and being invested in something and loyalty to a team, So some people will do that to raise their testosterone. Some, they'll go out running, they'll just throw themselves into work because there's things that they want to achieve and they want to feel that kickback of like hitting goals, and they just want to stay focused on that and they don't want any interruptions. Of course, for a lot of women, because we can handle many things at one time, it doesn't make sense to us. You're like, well, you don't have to cut me off completely. And no, actually, he doesn't have to cut you off completely. He can send you a text, or he can send you a voice note. But if you just relax and just nurture yourself and actually build your feminine energy back up again instead of being focused on him, but that's, again, this conversation for another day. Bring your energy back to you, and generally things will be well if they're meant to be. So I hope that gives you some clarity. I've got a free gift for you in the comment section, which is down here somewhere. Make sure that you subscribe. You can find me on all the different socials. Click on all of those things. Follow me. I share different things and different videos and posts and journal prompts and all sorts on different platforms. So make sure you're following me. I am Jay Diamond, dating and love coach. And I'll see you soon. Bye.